Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrebonne Home Care. Very glad you're joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it very, very much. And listen, we always want to bring to you up-to-date information. We want to bring to you some of the things that are happening in our community. Best way to do that is with Blake Tabor. Blake, thanks for joining us today.
I appreciate you having me.
All right. Of course, with Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. And so, a lot of times we get these kinds of things that come out. We get somebody who gets arrested, but it just needs more clarification so people truly understand what happened and what is going on and the issues that they don't need to be certainly afraid of certain things and just better clarifications. So tell us a little bit about this story.
Yeah, so this is certainly one of those cases, and when I initially came across this case, I certainly felt like this was one that needed to be highlighted for obvious reasons. So,
Okay.
On Friday, February 23rd, our patrol division was called to an address. Well, actually, it was a local hospital in the Thibodeau area. So we were called there in regards to the belief that a child had ingested a candy bar or some substance that appeared to have illegal narcotics within it.
Okay.
So, of course, when our patrol got there, we were able to substantiate that, in fact, this child was suffering from some narcotics-related symptoms. Ultimately, the child was transported to an out-of-area hospital for further evaluation.
Right.
It's important to point out right now that the child is recovering
That's awesome.
from the symptoms and the injuries sustained during this incident. So,
Good.
We're thankful and grateful for that.
It's always right. The child's welfare is certainly our biggest concern.
Absolutely. So during the course of this investigation, evidence started linking the child to an address in the 200 block of Jolie Oaks Boulevard, which is close to the Colonel's Truck Plaza and Thibodeau jurisdictional line. So, of course, our patrol went there. They were able to determine some slight evidence that supported the fact that the child was there and the incident occurred at that home.
Okay.
So in true form, our special victims unit was called out to deal with this. Of course, they are our resident experts in this field.
Right.
And once they began their investigation, things became a lot more clear. Ultimately, they did some interviews. They were able to talk to the parent of the child and able to determine that at the time of the incident, the parent was not home. She had departed the location where a Sayanta Calloway, 19-year-old male of Houma, you see him photographed here, was responsible for the care of that child. We quickly realized that during the course of the child being there with Mr. Calloway, it appeared that the child had consumed, in fact, a candy bar that was laced with illegal narcotics. They found evidence to support that. And then ultimately, when the mother realized that the child was not acting correctly, she immediately took the child to the local hospital.
Okay.
Ultimately, we did an interview with Mr. Calloway where he admitted to being in possession of that particular candy bar. And ultimately, he was charged with second-degree cruelty to juveniles, where he was arrested and he was later released on a $20,000 bond by local judges.
Now, I think it's really important when we use the word candy bar, we want to make sure people, parents, everybody here understands this is not a candy bar that any child can go and buy at a store.
That's correct. So, one of the hot topics that we always see, and I know, and we're certainly not going to name any specific stores that are around our area, but I'm sure people have seen it. They go there and they see what is commonly known as a marijuana smoking pipe, or they see what people look at and they, as contraband or used in drug activity. And I know the fact is that everybody wonders, well, how can that store sell those types of items, right? This is contraband.
Right.
Well, when we talk about law, those particular items aren't necessarily contraband until they're used in a fashion that's against the law.
Okay.
So when we see these smoking pipes, the theory behind that is if someone wanted to take pipe tobacco and smoke it out of that particular device, it would be perfectly legal.
Correct.
It's much the same as any type of traditional smoking pipe that maybe we would have seen our grandfathers smoking on the front porch, right? It's the point in which illegal narcotics are introduced into that item, which then makes it illegal.
Right.
So the important point to point out with this is that this wasn't a candy bar that a parent has to fear that was bought in a storefront. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're going to go into a convenience store and you're going to see a box full of candy bars and it's going to look much like any other candy bar, but in fact it's laced with illegal narcotics.
Right.
Every indication is that this was something that was created or fabricated by someone at a street level for distribution. Again, it certainly appeared and looked like a traditional type candy bar, but my opinion is when you see this particular item, you can tell that it's something homemade versus something that's mass produced,
Right.
by, let's say, a major candy manufacturer, if you will. So, we want people to be concerned. We want parents to be concerned what their children are doing. More importantly, if your child comes home with a candy bar, don't just assume it's a candy bar, because these things could be purchased from someone on the street and could be very dangerous. So, this becomes a great educational opportunity to inform parents on what's out there. And our plan as a sheriff's office is we're going to do some more information and put some more educational-based information out, specifically about this, but about other items that come to be.
Right. And again, one of those things is just be on guard, be aware that this is something that may be out on the street, not in the store, but out on the street, and just be aware of what your children are getting or getting into. It's our job as parents to make sure that we do that. This is just one of those ways that we can be a little more hypervigilant about keeping them safe, because ultimately that's what our job is.
Absolutely. And, and to address those people on social media that may say, well, why is this the first time we're hearing about these things? Well, this may be the first time that we saw this in this particular capacity as well. So, once information comes to us, we do our due diligence and make sure that the community is informed. Right.
And so, again, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you for the update. More importantly, I'm glad the child is safe. I'm glad the mother came in and said, let's go and get help right away. Absolutely. And we appreciate the updates and certainly the education.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.